They gave me 3 days to recover, even though I only wanted to take a day off. They had me do mandatory checkups throughout the following 3 days to make sure I didn't slip into another coma. I figured out how to work out my room, and they still had me reading and learning not only to catch up, but to also test that my body was still working properly. As I was receiving my final checkup on the fourth day, a representative from Oni came into my medical bay. She told me that I was going to be transferred to an Oni black site to continue my training. I was tempted to ask where this site was as a joke, but this lady didn't seem like the type to take a joke. At this point, I had simply accepted my fate, as I was considered dead anyway, and knew there was no point in trying to argue. Although it wasn't all storm clouds and depressing news, I would get first dibs on testing experimental armor and equipment that was being built for Spartans. More on that much later. Now, I was transferred to the Black Site and immediately continued my training to become Spartan. The first thing they wanted to test was my physical and tactical capabilities. They made me lift heavy weights and run weapon drills as a start. However, the big issue came when they tried to put me through combat training. I ended up passing out. When the medics looked at me, they kept saying I was physically perfect. It wasn't asthma, it wasn't a concussion, I had no wounds, no neurological damage. They initially couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Well, turns out the augmentation given to us was essentially causing my body to shut down instead of heightening my senses and giving my body the adrenaline it needed to fight in those high-stress, high-fatigue situations. And of course, in the field of battle, everything around you is high stress and fatigue. My body was essentially pulling a fight or flight. In this case, fight or pass the fuck out. I couldn't exactly try and fight a battle and pass out because my body can't handle the immense load of combat. So, what was their ingenious idea to fix this problem? Well, the only thing they could think to do was put me into cryosleep until they could figure out another augmentation or serum to counterbalance the first one. Lucky for me, they were able to identify the problem within a few days of putting me under and got to work developing a serum for me. There's that special goose phenomenon again. Don't try asking me what insane concoction they came up with, because I don't know, and I doubt they would tell me even to this day. I woke about a week later, and they were ready to give me the serum. It worked. A little too well, actually. I was riding an adrenaline high for the rest of the day. I had so much energy, I broke damn near every weightlifting record possible without the Mjolnir armor. Of course, it didn't matter because I didn't exist, so none of it would count, which was such a major disappointment. By the next day, I was a perfectly healthy Spartan 2 candidate. Finally. This was not only a relief to myself, but Oni as well. I could finally complete my Spartan training, and I did, with no other issues. After the completion of my training, my first order of business was to get acquainted with the ship I would be assigned to. The UNSC Torn Asunder. With its surprisingly moderate size, it was still considered an extremely fast and durable UNSC Orion-class carrier. This ship was originally used to assist in battle during the Insurrectionist Wars, supplying a manufacturing line and mechanical bays for basic ground vehicles such as the Mongoose, the Warthog, along with all of its variants. In addition, it came equipped with a specialized Pelican bay. The ship was repurposed during my time on it at what was essentially the end of the Insurrectionist War and the beginning of the Human Covenant War as a cover for Oni Black Ops operations. What better way to hide your shady dealings than with a ship that formerly seemed at least a bit suspect of those dealings? As the entirety of the crew was made up of Oni personnel at that point, there was no need to try and keep me a secret on this ship. Damn near everything going on this ship was shady and under the table type of behavior. I would fit in just fine, so long as I stayed on task and kept to myself. Not that anyone could really try anything, though believe me when I say there were a few brave souls. There were. For the most part, the ship was quiet, peaceful, no one to disturb me, and that's just how I like it. If you ever get a chance to just sit down and look out a ship's window while off-world, or look up at the night sky and stare into the vastness of space for what feels like eternity, I would highly recommend it. I would do this before missions as to clear my head of all those useless thoughts or memories I didn't need anymore. Memories I would lock away for years to come. I always try my best to go into missions with a clear mindset. This would ensure I would make little to no mistakes, costing myself or someone else of their life.